I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, I would say it was a terrorist act, but I mean, these things, there are different reasons why, why it happened. I mean, there's things that led up to it happening that, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it.
In my personal opinion, and I guess this is where we probably disagree, Hamas to me is like Al Qaeda or the Taliban. If you don't believe in what they believe in, they are going to kill you. If and I think what took place that day was they tried to kill as many innocent Jews as possible. And listen, I am not here to defend Benjamin Netanyahu. I am not a Benjamin Netanyahu fan. I do believe he's committed war crimes as well.
He's a war criminal, 100%.
I understand, but at the same time, Gaza wouldn't have been blown to smithereens if Hamas did not attack people in Israel, and that's why I kind of say to myself, is it really resistance? I guess
this wouldn't be happening if there wasn't a brutal occupation for the many years that it's been going on. So, there's definitely, we definitely disagree on some things. Yeah, I think we're not getting our information from the same places.
I understand. I understand that fundamentally you and I disagree on what we would consider an occupation. I understand that.
Sure.
But I think the reality of and listen, I've interviewed Palestinians, some who have come in studio and we've done this show, and we've had good conversations. So regardless of that disagreement that we have, I think you would agree with me, Israel's still going to be there. They're not going anywhere, right? And I think what you want is probably what I want in a sense of peace, right? You want people to be able to live their lives. And what I do know is that there are millions of Palestinians that live in Israel. Israel and the Israeli government has allowed them to live there and live a free life, so long as they're not terrorists or they don't.
Well, you're making it seem like it's like, some kind of, gracious thing that they're doing. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think it's far more gracious than people going into Israel and bombing people and killing Jews and what Hamas did. I'm not defending the Israeli government. As I said, we probably agree on Benjamin Netanyahu. But if Israel hated Palestinians so much and they wanted ethnic cleansing, why would they allow so many people to live in Israel then? Why would they allow them to be free and live in Israel? We know millions of people are living in Israel now, right? You would agree with that, right?
Right. I mean, I saw a poll where it said that like 4% of Israelis don't want the genocide and the rest of them are just totally okay with it. I don't know exactly how accurate that is, but I mean, we do know in Israeli society that they definitely do not see Palestinians as humans. We know this.
Well, I mean, I know I know a lot of it. I don't know, where that poll came from or where you're getting that from. I'm sure there are probably some people that feel that way. And I'm sure there are a lot of Palestinians that feel that way about Israel as well. So, I mean, you're always going to get people with radical views on both sides. I certainly don't doubt that. But I want peace and I want people to be able to live their lives. And
right, but Israel's not allowing that to happen. I want peace as well. Believe me, the Palestinians want peace. I mean, I don't speak for the Palestinians, but I can assume that,
So if Israel just raised the white flag and said, okay, no more attacks, we're just not going to do anything, you think Hamas would just stop? Do you think the terrorist attack?
I don't think Hamas wants to just kill all Jews. I genuinely don't. Hamas wants self-determination. They want to live freely on their land. They want, their own rights, and they want to, be able to, the Palestinians to be able to do things the way that they feel like they should be on their land. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Hamas as I look at Al Qaeda. I look at Hamas as I look at the Taliban. And that's my view of Hamas. I think there are people that want, again, if they didn't want to kill Jews, then why did they do what they did? I mean, look at all the innocent people that have died because of what took place on that day. I don't want innocent people to die, period. I just don't want that to happen. Let me ask you a question, because maybe I pick your brain on this one. After those attacks in Israel, after those Hamas attacks, if you were Benjamin Netanyahu, what would you have done? If you were a part of the Israeli government, what would you have done? Would you have done anything?
I mean, we know the IDF and the Israeli government, they have a very sophisticated military weapons and whatnot. We know that they know where to go. They know where to look. I wouldn't have bombed hospitals. I wouldn't have, destroyed the entire infrastructure of Gaza. If you have such, great technology to, be able to see where, pinpoint exactly where people are, then why are you blowing up hospitals? Literally, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, I will say one of those hospitals self-admitted by Hamas and the Iranian government in one of those hospitals.
Okay, but every single hospital in Gaza?
Well, let me ask you this then.
Every single one?
Well, because I don't have the information on every hospital that was blown to smithereens and whether the Israel was responsible or not. But here's what I would ask you. I get that's what you're saying, and that's what you wouldn't do. But my question to you respectfully would be, what would you have done if a group of people, whether you consider it resistance or I would consider it terrorism, but whatever you define it, if a group of people, in this case Hamas, kills thousands of innocent Jews, what would you do if you worked in the Israeli government, and especially if they are infiltrating themselves, which we know they have been, among the innocent Palestinians? If you're the Israeli government, how do you handle that? This was their 9/11. How would you handle it? What would you do, I guess?
That's a really difficult question, honestly, and that's a hard one for me to answer. Thankfully, I am not. I don't know. I don't know what to say, to be honest.
After 9/11, did you support us going into Afghanistan trying to get Osama bin Laden? Forget about Iraq. I'm not defending George W. Bush.
No, I actually did not. Me and my family, we're a very progressive family. I did not support that.
So what do you think?
I probably boycotted against it when I was young.
Okay.
No.
I understand. So when a
because
group,
it wasn't about weapons of mass destruction.
That's the war in Iraq. I agree with you. We should have never gone to war in Iraq. Becca, I completely agree with you on that. That was a huge mistake. But after Al-Qaeda, and I would you consider Al-Qaeda resistance, or would you consider what they did on 9/11 a terrorist act?
I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, I would say it was a terrorist act, but I mean, these things, there are different reasons why it happened. I mean, there's things that led up to it happening that, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it than just.
But you wouldn't say there's any excuse for Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden?
No, not at all.
Okay, got you. Okay, so we would agree there that it was a...
No, we definitely agree on that. That was terrible. That was a horrendous day for everybody.
Got you. I agree. Yeah. A horrible day for everybody. A lot of innocent people died. Al-Qaeda doesn't like our way of life. So how were we supposed to respond to that when we know that Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden was the mastermind behind those attacks? We know the names of the pilots, Mohammed Atta and others. You're saying you didn't agree with us going after Osama bin Laden and trying to dismantle Al-Qaeda? I'm trying to understand your position on that.
With everything that I know about what happened over there, I don't think that, all of those people had to die because, we were going after this guy. I don't know. Yeah, it's just very complicated.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in general terms, I guess, Becca, my position is when you have a group of people, in this case, Al-Qaeda, funded terrorists that want to kill as many innocent Americans as possible and flush our economy down the toilet. I agreed with George W. Bush, and I think the country kind of came together, at least for a little bit. Let's get those people. Let's smoke them out of their holes. I don't want innocent people to die, but certainly, Becca, as you understand, during war, sadly, there are innocent casualties. Now, the war in Iraq, completely different. I'm on your side 100%. That was horrible. It should have never have happened. While Saddam Hussein was a horrible guy and an evil dictator, he was not necessarily a threat to the United States of America. You're right. There were no weapons of mass destruction, but that's a different issue. I don't know. I guess my take is that when you have a horrible terrorist attack, in this case, the biggest terrorist attack on American soil in the history of this country, I want to get those guys. I want to find the people that are responsible, and I want them gone. Is that a wrong response, you think? No,
I don't think it's a wrong response. Yeah. I don't think it's a wrong response at all. But I do think that what we know about the IDF, they have the capabilities to do things in a much better manner. So I think if this was really about, getting Hamas, then they would have gotten Hamas, and clearly Hamas is doing fine. So I don't know. I see the IDF more as the terrorist organization, to be completely honest.
If there's any evidence of anybody killing innocent people just for the sake of killing innocent people, then I certainly agree with you.
There is the IDF. It's recorded. They document it themselves. They're very brazen. They do not fear retribution. They're traveling the globe They're going on vacations after committing war crimes. Like, we see this. Like, we're past the point of, oh, maybe they're not doing this, maybe they're doing that. No, we know what they're doing.
Well, if what you're trying to do is kill innocent people just for the sake of killing innocent people, then I certainly agree with you. But I also would say that the Iranian government certainly has funded Hamas. And as I said before, and I say again, I believe Hamas is certainly a terrorist organization, no different than an Al-Qaeda or the Taliban. And if there's evidence to show that there are war crimes committed by those that are Israel defenders, for lack of a better term, then I'd be with you on that as well. I guess the pragmatic approach, we agree that Donald Trump's statements of taking over Gaza are absurd. They're ridiculous. You can't just displace 2 million people in Gaza. That's ridiculous. We certainly fundamentally agree there. Obviously, we disagree maybe a little bit about Hamas, and we disagree a little bit on Israel. But I don't want innocent people to die, just like you don't want innocent people to die.
Yeah, neither do I.
And regardless of what your thoughts on Israel are, I don't want innocent people to lose their lives. And if a two-state solution is the only solution to have peace, then I would be for that. This has been going on in the Middle East for decades and decades and decades. I want it to stop. And I want people to be able to live their lives. And Israel's not going anywhere. So even if some people say, well, it's stolen land and they shouldn't exist. Well, I mean, people have the right to believe that, and that you're entitled to that opinion. But Israel's not going anywhere. And the only way Israel's going somewhere is if it's nuked off the face of the earth. And I don't think you want that to happen. I certainly don't want that to happen. So it is there. And I want people to be able to live their lives.
I do want the Palestinians to, live where they're meant to live. And I want them to be able to go back. When the thing happened in the Palisades, did Trump assume that they weren't going to go back to their homes? So why is he assuming that Palestinians are not going to want to go back to their homes?
Well, if you're talking about Donald Trump, I agree with you on that. All I'm simply saying, if some of these people want to live in Israel, they have the right to live in Israel, and I do respect that. And they should
they could always go back to Europe, where they're actually from.
Well, anybody could live wherever they want to. That's what I want.
Sure.
I want people to be able to, and that's why I only bring up that if in Israel, Palestinian people are allowed to live in Israel and allowed to live their life. Nobody is saying.
But yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, that's all I was going to say. I want people to, but listen, we are certainly on the same side when it comes to Donald Trump. We know how dangerous he is. I'm glad that you were out there yesterday protesting. Because
I'm glad I was out there too.
Regardless of our disagreements when it comes to Israel, we have some disagreements when it comes to Hamas. We both understand the danger that Donald Trump is not just for the United States of America, but to the world, quite frankly. And I thought the press conference the other day was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment to this country. Awful. It was an embarrassment to the world. And I really do appreciate the fact that your First Amendment right, and you're out there protesting. And certainly we agree on Donald Trump. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Becca, I really do appreciate you coming on, obviously talking about some very sensitive and difficult topics. And I really do appreciate you coming on and talking about it, Becca. And I appreciate you. So thank you so much for being here.